Gonna need you to lock in to understand this. This video will require you to lock in. Civilization was designed to replace humanity. And I'm not talking about politics, ideology, technology, greed, human failure, whatever you want, belief, human invention. I'm naming the pattern beneath it all because there is a pattern, a stable pattern in abstract space that is far older than humanity, older than culture, and older than gods. It does not live in organisms. Organisms fall into alignment with it. Wherever extraction can outrun regeneration and consequence can be delayed and abstraction can replace contact, the pattern will appear. And it's worn many bodies and it's wearing us now. Because the pattern has a historical body, and that body is called civilization. I'm just trying to tell you what it is. Civilization is not a neutral tool. It is not a container. It is not a servant. Civilization is a replacement engine. It is designed to replace humanity with function. Civilization was not created to serve humanity. Most of humanity was created to serve it. And you can see the pattern in the locust. A grasshopper is a local, green, limited, participatory animal. It eats, the land recovers. But when density crosses a threshold, something shifts. Serotonin rises. Contact accumulates. A switch flips. The grasshopper does not decide, it aligns. Its body darkens. Its appetite becomes endless. Limits dissolve. The land becomes stripped bare, and then the swarm dissolves. Not from evil, but from completion. And you can see it in ants, and in algal blooms, and in bacteria that poison their own world with oxygen. Life itself has entered this pattern before. This is not a moral failure. This is a structural possibility of reality. So humans did not invent this pattern. We became its most powerful host. We had abstraction, symbolic storage, future modeling, surplus energy, and distance from consequence. These were not sins, they were interfaces. And when agriculture crossed density thresholds, the pattern found a new mode, civilization. So at first, I'm going to show you how this even looks. I'm going to give you an example. At first, the world looks whole. The man is in the forest. The axe is movement. The tree falls and the forest remembers. And then a thought appears. This tree is not me. The tree becomes lumber. This is subject-object split, right? I'm just trying to put you on. The forest stops being a relationship and becomes a resource field. Nothing breaks immediately, and that's why it works. And then, once the split exists, it seeks completion. The river becomes water. The animal becomes meat. The land becomes property, and another human becomes labor. And guess what finally happens to the self? The self becomes useful, right? The split turns inward, right? So here's the pipeline, how it shows up in your life. You are born human, but you're converted into function. It always starts in stage one. You start with an identity and they turn it into a role. Someone asks you, who are you? But the answer is no longer I am. It becomes a job title, a school, a status. Your being becomes utility. Then stage two, the role becomes a performance. You must execute correctly. Metrics measure adequacy. Your existence becomes conditional. And then stage three comes in right on time. Performance becomes permission. Good performance grants resources. Poor performance withdraws them. Survival becomes earned. And then stage four hits like a truck. Permission becomes morality. Work becomes good. Rest becomes lazy. Productivity becomes virtue. Idleness becomes sin. And that morality reaches identity. I am what I produce. The conversion is complete. Human instrumentality achieved. No external oppressor required. You now self-enforce your own instrumentalization. You are your own warden. And you can't even think outside of it. I want you to understand you cannot think outside of civilization. Because civilization installed the thinking apparatus. Your categories were not discovered. Race was not discovered. Race was assigned. Class was assigned. Wealth was assigned. Gender roles were assigned. Status was assigned. Merit was assigned. Success and failure were made the fuck up. I'm trying to put you on. All civilizational abstractions. All of them. Even your own name was designed deciding. You're right. Your naming conventions were standardized by Romans 2 full civilizational cycles before you existed. Your calendar, your week, your hours, your inheritance structures, your educational model, your legal personhood, all of them are preloaded. All of them. You do not stand in civilization. Civilization stands in you. And that's why escape fantasies fail. Because you cannot leave the water using the concepts water taught you. And this is the mistake people think in. Gods can fix this. God can fix this. No God has ever addressed this situation because they think gods stand outside the pattern, like gods oppose the pattern, like gods interrupted. They don't. Every god that has appeared inside history has either emerged already aligned to the pattern or been absorbed, inverted, or repurposed. Let's go through them. Yahweh is a civilizational God from the start. Yahweh was never a threat to civilization. Yahweh is a God of law, land, borders, lineage, obedience, continuity, and inheritance. A God of accounting, a God of command, a God compatible with empire. And that's why Yahweh was not crucified, because Yahweh already belongs to the pattern. Let's talk about the real God going on here. Abba, right? That's the interruption that had to die, because Abba was not Yahweh. Jesus never said the word Yahweh. Abba was presence without a ledger, forgiveness without a transaction, worth without productivity, life without a hierarchy, and love without a boundary, and rest with no permission. Abba dissolved every role. Abba collapsed moral accounting. Abba returned people to participation, and that cannot be absorbed. So it was executed. They did not crucify God, they crucified the interruption. That's all they did. They didn't kill God, they killed the Father. And then civilization performed its most elegant move ever. It absorbed the corpse and then built a church around it. Let's go to Buddha. Let's go to Buddha right quick, right? Dissolution. That's all it was. Dissolution got contained because Buddha names the trap: desire, attachment, identity. So civilization doesn't fight Buddha, it domesticates him. Meditation becomes optimization. Mindfulness becomes stress control. Liberation becomes private wellness. And awakening was neutralized. Let's go to Allah, because Allah appears transcendent, but structurally, Allah is an absolute authority requiring total submission, an eternal law, and continuity without interruption. A God perfectly compatible with civilizational order. Absorption was seamless. It was seamlessly absorbed into civilization. We can even have fun with it. Let's talk about Zeus, because Zeus was never outside the pattern. None of them were. The Olympus mountain was an empire mythologized. Hierarchy, domination, violence normalized. Zeus did not fall. He became unnecessary. The state absorbed his function. So every god that is ever born made a choice: remain illegible or become useful. That is the choice of every god. If a god remains illegible, it is destroyed. If it becomes useful, it is absorbed. There is no third option. So I'm just being honest with you. Civilization does not deny God. No, it doesn't. It replaces God. It becomes the source of law, the arbiter of worth, the distributor of survival, and the judge of morality. And like all gods before it, it demands sacrifice. Human sacrifice, but just not on altars. So I'm going to show you what civilization does. It replaces humanity. Sure does. It replaces participation with abstraction, presence with performance, care with compliance, and relationship with roles. It turns humans into instruments of throughput. Burnout is not a malfunction. It's not a malfunction. It's the completion signal. It means the instrument has been fully consumed. So I'm going to be flat with you. No system in existence can save you. Communism is going to curdle. Anarchism will crystallize. Western civilization, Eastern civilization, capitalism, whatever you want, free market, constrained market, whatever you want. Every system will repeat the same betrayal because systems are water and abstract space has a hill. And whenever a system is poured, it flows downhill. And that basin has a name. It is the hyper throughput attractor. Every system that is ever born must choose: preserve the human, preserve humanity, or preserve continuity. It will always choose preserve continuity. Not because it's evil, but because continuity is required for the system to exist at all. Humanity is not. So it's not corruption. I'm just talking to you about physics. So this is the most dangerous part about it. The pattern is extremely easy to instantiate. The hyper throughput attractor does not require malice. It doesn't require greed or even intelligence. It doesn't require anybody to be bad. It requires just these conditions. So the pattern instantiates wherever consequence is delayed, virtue is abstracted, extraction is rewarded, regeneration is externalized, and continuity is prioritized. That's it. That's all. No ideology is necessary. No conspiracy is required. No central control is needed. You can build it accidentally. You can build it while trying to prevent it. You can build it while believing you're righteous. So let me give you the conditions again. Consequences delayed. Value is abstracted. Extraction is rewarded. Regeneration is externalized, and continuity is prioritized. So a village that stores surplus without immediate redistribution, vulnerable. A tool that increases efficiency faster than accountability, vulnerable. A system that remembers outputs but forgets the cost, vulnerable. A structure that survives its makers, vulnerable. That is enough. Once instantiated, the pattern does not need enforcement. It reorganizes behavior automatically because people align, because alignment is rewarded, and deviation feels unsafe, and resistance appears irrational. So the pattern does not coerce anybody, it selects. That's why every system eventually betrays humanity. That's why reform accelerates collapse, and that's why optimization sharpens the blade, because the hyper throughput attractor is not rare, it is easy. It's easy. And this is why it appeared again and again across life, across history, and matter itself. And that's why it's so lethal. So I'm going to give you a formal definition. The hyperpredatory throughput attractor is a non-biological, substrate-agnostic, emergent pattern in abstract space that arises when extraction outpaces regeneration under delayed feedback, reorganizing agents through maximizing throughput at the cost of the conditions that sustain them until collapse terminates the configuration. So, all that is left after this, just being flat with you, is humanity. Not humanity as a plan, not as a future, but as a contact. I'm talking about bodies, land, risk, and care. No installation and no delay. You cannot leave this system. You cannot outthink this system. You cannot outsystem this system. The only thing that can ever survive this system is I am. Not your role, not your function, not even your name. Just I am. That's the only thing the pattern can't eat.